Today I have Ari Baum with us. He is the owner of the financial firm Endurance Wealth Partners, endurance being the key term. This is also an Ironman. He's an actual all-world athlete, been recognized that as a couple of times. Runs marathons as quick as I can probably drive a car. Just got in from competing in an Ironman in Oklahoma where he saw all the cows in the world. He lives in Brooklyn, has a wife, 4 kids. He can almost tell you the ages of all of them. Welcome with me, Ari.
Thank you for having me.
So how are you doing today?
I can't complain. Like I mentioned, I'm about 2 weeks off of doing an Ironman in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Beautiful town, great city, and I pretty much have most of the feeling back in my legs.
So we'll start off here before we get into the financial firm piece of the puzzle. Tell me how you get into doing Ironmans and in all the things that go into it.
So it's a funny story, actually. I would say going back about 11 years ago, I happened to be driving to go see a client in Manhattan. So picture a typical Sunday morning. I'm on the West Side Highway going to see him, and I couldn't move in traffic. The roads were closed, everything was stopped, and this was just before, iPhones and iPads kind of came into our lives.
That's right.
So
that's when you had to use your brain.
Yeah. You know what? I did something that my kids probably never even done. I turned on the radio. I listened to the news as to what's going on. And,
sure.
And what happened was they said, the West Side Highway was closed for the New York City Triathlon. And I said, this is New York City. Who closes down New York City for a race? I said, this is not normal. But I said to myself, you know what? Maybe this is a sign. And I said, next year, I'm going to do the New York City Triathlon. I'm going to be the guy that everyone in their cars and taxis are cursing out that the roads are closed because of me. So,
sure.
So long story short, I signed up for the race, didn't know how to swim, didn't know one of those professional bikes, kind of like what you see in the background there.
Yeah.
And I jumped in, leaned into the unknown, did the race, fell in love. And then over the years, as I just kept doing this sport to kind of keep me fit and sane, I started increasing the distances. I went from, a short course to the longer course, all the way up to the full Ironman, which is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and then a marathon of 26.2 miles. Yes, all in one day.
So you took that as a sign. What if it would have been the hot dog eating contest between Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi?
I would have been a lot happier.
You would look a lot different too.
No, 100%. So what I've recognized over the years is we have to be more than just work. You have kids, I have 4 kids, and to your point, they're growing up quick, and it's kind of hard keeping track of their names. But what I realize is life is more than just go to work, come home, go to work, come home, chase after the kids. You have to be more than that. So I found sport as an outlet to, it's a great stress reliever. You feel good. There's an expression. You never regret the workout. You don't skip. So I made it part of my life. It ties into my 3 truths that I've developed. I love my family. I love what I do, and I love being active. And everything I do kind of plays off of that, and it's why I call the firm Endurance Wealth Partners.
So the 3 truths: family,
I
love what you do.
I love what I do. I love coming into, now it's the home office because of COVID, but I love working every day, making an impact on people's lives, helping them in an area that they may feel a little uncomfortable. Not because they don't know about finances, but they never learned about finances. In school, they'll teach you math and science, but they don't teach you the importance of saving, the importance of investing, the importance of making your money work for you. So I feel almost in a sense like a teacher where I partner with people to educate them, and it's very empowering, and I feel rewarded, and they feel very empowered by it.
So let's take a step back then to Endurance Wealth Partners. Kind of give me the story of, and feel free to give the Cliff Notes version of kind of how, your background. Where did you start? What were you doing? And then how did you get into to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I would say I've been very fortunate to discover this industry at a young age. My dad came to me when I was 17 years old, and he said, "Hey, Ari, what do you want to do this summer? You want to be a counselor? You want to be a waiter? You're too old to be a camper. You got to do something."
Yeah.
So, not knowing anything, and I mean anything, I said, you know what? I see these stockbrokers. They drive around in their Porsches, they're wearing suspenders. They must be doing something right. Let me see what this is all about. So he said, okay. And he made an introduction to one of his friends that worked on Wall Street. And he's like, sure, send him in for an interview.
How old are you at this point?
17 years old.
Wow.
Summer
Sorry, go ahead.
Junior year in high school. And I'll never forget this. I went into a meeting, or more of like an interview, and this guy chewed me out for a good half hour. What do you know about the markets? What do you know about the Federal Reserve, interest rates, stocks, bonds? I was like, I know nothing. I said, look,
yeah,
I'm a 17-year-old kid. I'm interested in learning. I don't know anything. But if
you just know about Twinkies and Super Mario at this point.
17. We spent our time at the beach and in 7-Eleven. That was life. So I said, I don't know, but I'll find out. And he grilled me. Like I said, it felt like an eternity, but it must have been a half hour. And then at the end of the interview, he just started cracking up. And he goes, "Of course you don't know anything. You're just a kid." He's like, "I'm just messing with you. Don't worry." Obviously, this is before the age of HR. He's like, "Don't worry. Come in next week, 7 a.m. We'll get you started. We'll figure out something that you could do." I was so excited. I got 2 blocks away, and I'm like, "You say 7 a.m.?" I was like, "This could impact my social life." But what happened was that I was very lucky. These guys kind of took me under their wing. They shielded me from, the darker side of Wall Street, per se. And they really ingrained in me that it's really about putting your clients first, putting their interests, above your own, doing right by them. Karma is a wonderful thing. You do right by someone somewhere, it'll come back to you in somewhere else. And I fell in love with the industry. I stayed on with it, graduated high school, in college, interned, got my licenses while in school. I was fortunate to work at firms like UBS and Morgan Stanley. And about 8 years ago, I decided that there was a better way I could serve my clients without the conflicts of interest of working for these banks that were making their own products. And I can truly be the embodiment of putting clients first. So I opened up Endurance Wealth Partners.
So opening Endurance Wealth Partners followed you starting down the Ironman road.
Yes.
Hence the name.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You know what? There's an expression, if you want to, feel good, they say run like a 5K. If you want to change your life, do a marathon. When you take on a project that seems impossible at first, and then step by step, you slowly make it a reality and you accomplish it, you realize that anything is possible, which happens to be the Ironman mantra.
Sure.
Who would ever think that, just put it bluntly, a Jewish kid from Brooklyn with no real athletic ability.
Right.
I don't count being on the basketball team in high school as, a real measure of my athletic prowess. But what I found through sport, specifically Ironman, is that it really rewards consistency and patience over talent. So much like a 401k. I'm going to shift gears, but this is a perfect example.
That's a good segue.
I sit across the table from people that have $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in their 401k plans or their IRAs, and that and it's like it's hard to imagine having that much money in an account. But what I realized is just like running a marathon, you can't run 26.2 miles, but you can run 1 mile 26.2 times. And it's the same thing with the 401k. You start off small, put in $100 a week, maybe even increase it to $200. Slowly over time, and then before you know it, due to the beautiful effects of compounded interest and investing in the American economy, that those little acorns kind of add up over time to something beautiful, and that's the parallel.
So how do you get folks to, and I'm going to jump back in a minute to talk to you a little bit more about your firm and its uniqueness, but while we're on this topic, so what do you do now to stay in front of your clients, to educate them, to keep them on track? Because as the markets go up and down being the proverbial word, when it's up, everybody's excited, high-fiving. This is the only way it's ever supposed to be. But when it finally corrects and still gives you a good return, how do you get them to stay in the marathon without, trucking off to the side, grabbing a Gatorade and quitting?
Great question. So I actually made a YouTube video about this. You can check out my channel on YouTube. Shameless plug. Go to Art.
Man after my own heart. Great job.
So go to my YouTube channel, and I actually made a video describing the New York City Marathon to investing. So the first thing I tell people is that you have to establish the right money mindset. There will be bad days in the market. In fact, you want there to be bad days in the market. So I'll give you a good analogy in sports, and then I'll carry it over to finance. So when I was training for the New York City Marathon, after a few years of training, I set a goal. I wanted to break 3 hours in the marathon, which, is not easy. It takes a lot of discipline and a lot of effort and a lot of hard work. And what I realized as I started doing the marathon is, if anyone's ever done the New York City Marathon, it's a challenging course. And if you're thinking about doing it, it is the best course because it is a 26.2 mile block party of people cheering you along the way. So when you think about quitting and you hear all the fans cheering you on, it motivates you to keep going. So one thing I realized in running the New York City Marathon is that you got bridges, you got the 59th Street Bridge, you got bridges going up to the Bronx, you have Central Park at the end. So you can't run at the same pace through the whole course. When you're going uphill, which is ironically where the race starts on the Verrazano, you're going over a bridge. And it's usually when you start the race that you feel really good. So you want to run fast. But that's the exact thing what you shouldn't do. Take it easy. Go slower on the uphills. And when you get over the hill, let gravity do the work on the downhill. It's the same thing like the market. It doesn't just go straight up. It unfortunately goes down more than it goes up lately. But understanding that the markets go down will prepare you for when it happens. That's the key. Knowing that there are going to be bad days and preparing for it. Now, if you're younger, let's say you're 5, 10 plus years out of retirement, you actually want the downturns. And that sounds counterintuitive. But you want the markets to go down because in your retirement plan, you're investing every single month or every pay period or every pay period, or every 2 weeks, whatever it may be. So when the markets go down, if you're investing $100 and the market goes down to 50, guess what? You're buying twice as many shares. When the markets go up, you're buying less shares. So intrinsically, every time the market goes down, you can pick up more of the American economy. And what happens over time is all those investments at those lower price points will go up that much more when the markets come back. The big fear that people have is that they think that every time the markets go down, it's the end of the world. We saw it in COVID. We see it right now. We saw it in 2009 when the banking crisis happened and everyone's, homes went down in value. We saw it in 2002. I'm going to but we're still here. And
those are two, not to interrupt you, but those are two great analogies. The marathon analogy, and I'm sure you've used frequently, I really like because so many people are trying to shortcut or looking for a dead sprint and then of why you want to buy while the markets are down. And I know other advisors, they get this, it's old hat to them, but they don't know. The lesson here, I think, is how to explain that to the guy who's like me, who's got a job and a small business and a wife, and she's got a business and 3 kids at home. And I'm essentially an unpaid Uber driver with a 1.5-star rating with my kids, and that your hobbies, you've got a good hobby, is actually doing something and being a triathlon. And the average Joe out there is just, head down, grinding away, not really paying attention. And he needs somebody like you that can kind of break these things down and explain it to him. So in thinking of that, if I'm Joe Schmo off the street, I'm Charles Alexander and I'm in Brooklyn, I'm trying to figure out what financial advisor I need. I'm not going to really take the time to do the research I should do. So how do you guys set yourselves apart from the average independent advisor?
Yeah. So, the expression that I use is that it's much like everyone knows that they should work out and eat healthy, but not everyone does it.
Right.
There is no secret sauce. Anyone could be a financial, I don't know if they want to, but anyone could be a financial advisor. Anyone can take control of their own, destiny. Now, there are two ways you could approach it. You can go your own course, do your own thing. There are plenty of services online where you can be in the driver's seat, and that's totally cool because, as the expression goes, there are many roads to Jerusalem. What people value from what we bring to the table is that we are consistently staying in front of our clients. Albert Einstein uses an expression, smart, solves problems, genius anticipates it. The experience that we have is that we work with clients from all aspects of their lives or the entire age gap, if you think about it. So we've seen a lot of things that come up. People graduate college, people get married, people have young kids, people switch jobs, people lose their jobs, people buy a home, people retire, people get sick. So I call these things critical life events. We've all experienced it, or maybe we are about to experience it. And unfortunately, when we go through a stressful time for the first time, we think it's the first time ever that it's happened.
Sure.
Unfortunately, like as our parents get older, we start dealing with their health issues and all that. It's very sad, it's traumatic, it's emotional, but unfortunately, we have experience with clients that have gone through it, so we prepare them for those types of events. You're like me, you're a grinder, you're working, day in and day out. This is something that I think about. And this is part of our overall philosophy. I think you'll appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Right now.
So wait,
sorry.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead right now.
So right now, you get a paycheck, right? From your hustle,
Correct.
From your work. Your asset of your business is what's funding your lifestyle, right? It pays the bills. It's going to send the kids to college. It's going to pay the mortgage, pay for vacations, do all those things. As you get older, we all have this vision and dream that we could sell our business for $10 million and ride off into the sunset. But that's not always the case. So
rarely.
When I work with people in, not that it's discipline, but it's developing a habit, a healthy habit, to take a little and put it on the side. Take a little and put it on the side. So what happens over time is that this business that you have that's paying your lifestyle, something else is coming up. What's coming up is this bucket of money, your 401k, your IRA. And what happens, look, if you sell a business, great. But if you can't, let's say that goes away. Let's say you were like a client of mine that had a limousine company. And he felt it was very valuable to buy another car, then put money in a retirement account. But I pushed him anyway. And guess what happened? They all heard of Uber and Lyft.
Right.
This went away through competition. Unfortunately, he had this bucket of assets. And now this bucket of assets is paying him every 2 weeks as if he was working. I call it a virtual paycheck. And then he gets to ride off into the sunset knowing he has this bucket. And this bucket has been built in a way that we know there's going to be down days in the market, and that's okay. We build in about a 3-year cushion of a downturn. So if the markets are down, they always come back. And if they don't come back, it doesn't make a difference anymore. But that's the approach.
So how are you? So you said something very key. You got some examples there. You got some good stories. How are you? You said you're staying in front of your clients. What are you guys doing that lets you consistently stay in front of your clients?
So we have a formula. It's called the Q4 formula that we have. And it's a process that we've developed and refined that helps us stay in our lane, so we know exactly what we're doing for our clients. And then we use technology, our CRMs, to proactively call our clients. So we make phone calls, we do emails, we do social media, we do videos. That's how we stay in front of our clients. So the joke is, I don't call my clients when the markets are up. They don't need me to toot my own horn.
Right.
I call them specifically when the markets are down to remind them why you're doing what you're doing. And that keeps them on the course. And then they also look at when the markets go down, these are opportunities. These are opportunities to buy names that you love and that you like, business at a cheaper price. When you go to the store, you don't wait for a sale to be over. You're happy when there's a sale. For some reason in the markets, everyone turns off their mindset to that, but it's not what it should be.
And I love you going back again to the marathon analogy. I've used that quite a bit with financial advisors, insurance agents, any busy professional that they want to turn their marketing, they're staying in front of their clients into a dead sprint that will suddenly give them this big boost of revenue out of the clear blue. Yeah. But I think what you guys are doing is dead on. It's a marathon of staying in front of the clients. You're picking up the telephone, you're sending them regular emails, you're posting to social media. And even in doing that, sometimes it feels like it's just going into a great abyss, but it's the consistency of it. And most importantly, I'm partial. You guys, for anybody that's later after you watch this, go check out Ari's YouTube page. They're consistently creating videos, and they're not all going to be viral hits, but they are little steps, little things that remind the clients of why they're working with this firm and what the ultimate goal is, and helping to set their mindset.
Yeah. I'll build on that with this. Everyone knows, if everyone has ever run a marathon, everyone knows that mile 20 sucks. That's when you're hitting the proverbial wall. On a physiological level, you have about 2 hours worth of carbohydrate stores in your body. And what happens is that as you get closer to mile 20, you're running out of energy. You don't have the electrolytes to keep the muscles from firing. And what happens is you hit the wall. That's when most people want to just stop and quit because it gets hard. What do? We train for mile 20. We prepare ourselves because we know it's going to be tough. And then when mile 20 comes, we're not experiencing that feeling for the first time. You might start feeling weak, it might start hurting. Wait, I remember this. You know what? Let me take some Gatorade. Let me take a gel. Let me get a banana. Let me get some energy into my body so I can keep the engine going. And it's the same exact thing with the market. Like it's no, many people might be feeling the market being down right now because, if you've been around for 20 years, you're like, okay, this is nothing new. But if you're a newer investor, this is like, oh my God, what's going on? It's the end of the world. You have Russia, Ukraine, you have the Fed raising interest rates, you don't have the stimulus, you don't have all these things going on. It's like, oh my God, my world is caving in. But if you look back at history, and I'm not saying history repeats itself because every time is something different, but it rhymes. And one thing that's
Mark Twain, there you go.
Got it. And one thing that stood true is that I got this from an Instagram video of Denzel Washington. And I know he's quoting the Bible here, but this too shall pass. And this too shall pass. We've come too far as a country and economy just to roll over. And I'll leave you with this. I consider myself a student of the market, even though I've been doing this for 25 years. And one thing that I've learned from the great Art Cashman, who was a floor manager for UBS, he's been there for ever. Forever. And I'll never forget this. A group of us went to the 2020 Club. It was a restaurant in Manhattan. It was back in like 2008, 2009. And the world was coming to an end. Lehman Brothers had just failed. The government was bailing out banks. AIG was almost going under, and it was really scary. And guys said to Art Cashman, Art, is this the end of the world? Is this the end of the world? And Art said, first thing you have to do pay your tuition. You got to buy them scotch. You know, that's how you pay tuition to the elders of the market. And then after he goes, guys, if there was ever a time I thought it was going to be the end of the world, it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. You know, back then, you know, you had to hide under your desk, they were doing drills and all that stuff. And one thing that I've learned whenever someone says it's the end of the world, the thing to do is buy and not sell. And the reason for that is that if it's not the end of the world, guess what's going to happen to the markets? You know, they'll go back up because everyone thought it was over. And if it is the end of the world, it's not going to make a difference. We're not here anyway. So never bet on it being the end of the world. That's the sage words from the.
That is a fantastic closing story. I appreciate your time, Ari. I hate to take that one. I always like to end on a fun thing. That's a great story. So give me the quick tale behind the artwork on the wall behind you.
So I got my 3 truths in this room right here. You know, back there is the Dow Jones Industrial Average from God knows how many years ago. I use that as a reminder that you can't really see it, but there's companies like Eastman Kodak, Bethlehem Steel, and it tells me that companies might not be there, but the Dow Jones will still be there. You know,
right?
You see my beautiful bike with the race number on it. You know, and this right here is from my 8-year-old daughter, who did that when she was probably 6 years old, and the handprint is there, and she loves her daddy. And actually, it's my hand that she did, but she loves her dad, so I keep it there with me all the time. And like I said, I stay true to my core. I love my family, I love what I do, and I love being active.
Ari, how can somebody get in touch with you?
So, a few ways. You can just Google Ari Baum, ARIBAUM, and you'll find my website. And on my website, you'll see a book here button. You can schedule a 15-minute call on my calendar to chat about anything that's on your mind, or if you're facing a critical life event or you're nervous about the market. We will not solicit you, but as a courtesy to your faithful viewers today, we'll offer them that complimentary service. They can follow me on Instagram at The Iron Advisor, or you can go on LinkedIn or Facebook and just type in Ari Baum, and you should see this pretty face.
All right, brother, I appreciate it. You have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.